I did take the challenge of the big read very sincerely, and Julia is asking me to be a part of this as a man who has actually never been asked to represent Native American or my own Native American identity. This is actually, although everything else was disguised in Earth Day parades and such, environmentalism, I've never actually been asked to come here with the wounds that are in me and the most beautiful things that I've found to try to share with you during my attempts to resolve this. So the first thing in honoring the book, the first thing I want to share is how the book affected me. We are gathered here under the beautiful, so what's going to happen is I'm going to go between reading text, standing up and telling you to wave your arms in the sky, and lighting candles and burning incense and a little bit of drumming, and then more text. And so we're going to move from science, like the white people are supposed to talk to white people in the box, and then I'm going to try to be telling you, no, we don't live in a box, and it's just going to be a lot all over the place, but it's really not. The first issue, let's see, we're going to go straight to the book. We are gathered here under the beautiful intention of the organizers of the Big Read. There are 3 moments in the roundhouse I'm most identified with and learned from. I recognize the judge's devotion in the judge's devotion that I have had for studying and sharing Native American teachings. After his son tells him, the judge acknowledging his devotion and his purpose in that very clear little sentences, when his son knows that he's just powerless against the greater forces that are all around him. And that was one of the profound moments in the book. The father, as judge, says, everything we do, no matter how trivial, must be crafted keenly. We are trying to establish a solid base for our sovereignty. We try to press against the boundaries of what we are allowed. Walk a step past the edge. Our records will be scrutinized by Congress one day, and decisions on whether to enlarge our jurisdiction will be made someday. We want the right to prosecute criminals of all races on all lands within our original boundaries. Which is why I run a tight courtroom. What I'm doing is for the future, though it may seem small or boring or trivial to you. My hope is that revitalizing some of the wisdom from Black Elk's vision that we'll go into can help us all. Joe went to the priest to learn how to shoot a gun. The priest did not teach Joe to shoot, but as a badly wounded Christian soldier, he gave Joe spiritual permission to do what he knew Joe was going to do. The priest offered Joe the awareness of the mystical body of Christ that we all share in our heart as the heart of humanity. All that is around us is also in us, and within that heart, we each are aware of sins crying out for vengeance. Joe also learns from Musham, I don't know how to say it. How is it? Musham, that a Wendigo could cast its spirit inside a person, and that person would become an animal that sees other people as meat and wants to eat them. People with the Wendigo spirit in them must be destroyed for the health of the tribe. My grandmother's tribe, their bioregion, and their religion and ways of knowing and living were destroyed by Christians, and yet she raised me to be a Catholic for me to survive. So there is a vengeance in me that I can never act upon nor even speak of. And all my life, though my heart is certain of God, there has ever been a war in my mind, and Lewis Erdrich has helped me to heal it. She has made it possible for me to recognize that the mystical body of Christ and the mystical body of Nanapush both speak to the events that unfold in this living world we are in, and they both offer the same sacred voice of guidance to Joe. So the spiritual guides behind the church and its book, and the spiritual guides behind the physical bodies of nature are ever in agreement in their guidance of our lives. that was just profoundly beautiful to me to put that together as far as a person who struggled all his life with the difficulty of believing in a God, but having trouble with the content and the juxtaposition of the content and choosing right action. When in this book, the right action is always in the heart and it's guided by the boy himself. As a Native American, every single physical object and thought and ritual of Negro American civilized life is a violation of the Native American life that preceded it. My life, my mother's life, my grandmother's life were destroyed. I would never wish this feeling upon anyone, but I have had it all my life. I read the words of a fictional character in a novel, and I completely identify with her in her near-death depression, waving her hand across her own kitchen and saying, "It's all a violation." Again, my heart here now with you is happy and thankful for my life and for you having your life. But as Joe says, it's the gut kick of history that clouds my mind with sadness and sometimes surrounds my heart. So after a deep and dangerous depression, a shaman told me to go get on an antidepressant, and I see a trauma therapist once a week for Native American historical trauma. That being true, I again believe in the Holy Spirit that is alive for me as a Catholic and as a Native American, for via the Big Read and Julia Devine, the Roundhouse, Louise Endrich, again reminded me that what I will share with you as the message of Black Elk's vision. The buffalo came to Nanapush and told him that although the native peoples once lived with the animal bodies, now a building, and all buildings must be made. And the buildings must be loved as the buffalo is loved, for they too are the body of the mothering earth protecting her children. Those are the gifts I received from the Big Read, Julia Devine, Louise Erdrich, the Roundhouse, and the Champlain Wine Company, and you all being here now. So now I'm leaving the book, and we're going to go to some of the hopefully fun things that I have to share. And maybe that way. Okay, here's one of the curious difficulties of being a Native American, a mixed blood, is that you're awkward not only with the white people, but also with the Native Americans when you go to shaman workshops and other things like that. So I had a beautiful poodle when I was growing up named Poodle, and I'm sure he's one of my elder spirits, but here we are. And everybody knows that just a little tiny red and a big bucket of white turns the whole bucket pink. So I guess I'm a pink man. I'm not sure what the word pink appearing on women's clothing is a mixed blood awareness movement or not. That's just one of the difficulties of being a mixed blood. So here's a piece of art I did for, I'm a reverend and I did marry one of my best friends and I gave this to them as a wedding gift, but here's the rainbow of life, and here's the image of, this would be the center of the earth. This would be the earth cut through the center and looking down from the north upon the earth, and the red magma, the orange magma, the yellow earth, the green plants, the green hoop of life, the red people of all the earth holding on to the earth, the blue day sky, the sun and life in the blue day sky, the moon and the stars in the night, and then the violet on the out. So you have this rainbow of being that we all live on, that is our earth, that is the sacred rainbow. We're going to come again and again to this, and this is, and this is Turtle Island, and a cloud above Turtle Island. And now there's a cloud called the World Wide Web flying over the top of our heads, and it's all around us right now. And that's what I'm going to tell you how Wakan Takan, the Native American Great Spirit, brought that to us. And how the technology of James Clerk Maxwell and the discovery of electromagnetism brought this to us. The Iroquois creation story is a potent source of earth wisdom, which teaches us that turtle rose out of the primordial ocean and offered its back as an island for the lady who fell from the sky. She had lived in a garden with a tree at its center. She wondered where the source of life was, so she and her husband dug up the tree, and it fell. In the hole where the roots were was a primordial abyss. She fell into the abyss, the great blackness, a primordial ocean, and a turtle arose, offering its back as an island. She gave birth to Mother Earth, who gave birth to twins, Flint and Sapling. The turtle grew and grew and grew, becoming an island. The water beings came to her, transforming Turtle's stony back to an island with earth, plants, and animals, a home for the lady who fell from the sky and her descendants. Some folks like to call this evolution. The Creator made peoples of 4 colors, red, yellow, black, and white. One day they found a gold stone. The 4 peoples began to argue over who would be its owner. Because private property had come into the people, the Creator came and divided the Turtle Island into 4 separate islands, one for each color of people. Plate tectonics. In the 1960s, scientists began to tell us the story of plate tectonics. After years spent studying the layers and movements of the Earth's stone crust, geologists discovered that the Earth is composed of large plates of stone that move very slowly. These plates were once a single supercontinent named Pangaea by geologists. Pangaea emerged from the primordial ocean about 270 million years ago and grew as a single island until 200 million years ago when Pangaea divided, gradually becoming the Earth island shapes we see today. There's the Iroquois story, and there's the scientific story. Excited by witnessing that scientists agreed with the Iroquois creation story, I went to the writings of turtle biologists to see what they say about the origin of turtle bodies. Referring to the fossil record, biologists tell us turtles came to wear their turtle bodies around 200 million years ago. Fancy dance that. Just as Pangaea, Turtle Island, was breaking into baby turtle islands, turtles came into being as animals. Just as the sphere of stone split, animals appeared wearing half spheres of stone on their backs. Charles Darwin was standing on a dock looking at several Galapagos turtles a local fisherman had caught. He witnessed that just by looking at the differences in the turtles, the man could tell the specific island of the turtle's origin. Darwin theorized that the single species of Galapagos turtles must have gradually transformed their bodies to adjust to the specific conditions of the islands where they lived. Scientists have been considering the theory of evolution for many years, but at the Galapagos Islands, Darwin found empirical scientific observations that were powerful enough to make people take the imaginative leap required for believing in the theory of the evolution of the species due to natural selection. The Indian in me says, turtles are always telling people creation stories. The theory of evolution as we were taught it is no longer considered to be true by the specialists in the field, but the myth is deeply held by a few devout believers. Third, comparative embryology. This is what happens when Salish poet me witnesses images in books of science. I didn't make these images, I just aligned them side by side. I caught a box turtle when I was 9. I brought it home and spent hours trying to draw it. During that relationship, I fell in love with drawing. I already loved turtles. The Indian in me can say, turtle taught me how to draw. As we move through my presentation, you will recognize that this is the story of the theft of the light of God, receiving it, and the cost that must be paid. This image is the incarceration or crucifixion or physical condition of Prometheus. Central to Greek mythology is the story of the fire thief Prometheus. All-powerful Zeus grew to despise human beings as fun-loving, curious, mischievous, sensual, and thankless creatures, and he decided to burn them back to ashes. Nuke them, as we say nowadays. However, half God, half man, Prometheus, had fallen in love with the human beings and their ways, so he stole a reed full of sunfire from Zeus's fiery throne, the sun, and brought it to the human beings. This is ritually reenacted in the lighting of the Olympic torch. This thievery brought to the human beings not only the fire to cook with, warm our homes, and light the night, but also the fire of human beings' ability to imagine, the fire of the mind's eye. Now the godly forces of nature would be under attack and were forced to hide themselves from mankind. For this thievery, Prometheus was incarcerated, bound for eternity to a rock in the middle of the ocean, a fate kin to being made to wear a turtle shell, a fate kin to the experience of the lady who fell from the sky. Zeus offered to free Prometheus if he apologized for his actions. Strong-hearted Prometheus refused. So the Greco-Romans held this as an image of their Savior. As my grandmother was forced to go to Catholic school, but in my lifetime it was forgotten. I just was going to Catholic school. And I learned of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. The lady who fell from the sky and Prometheus were crucified by the Creator to enter incarnation into being a living body that would suffer physical life and death. The problems for Aboriginal people's mythology is determining why I'm not a turtle. Why am I wearing a human body? How come this human body can think and the turtle can't think, or the bear can't think? So differentiating oneself from the animals is the foundation of Native American culture and was the foundation of Greco-Roman culture at its beginning. But Jesus is crucified by the judgments of human people, not God, human people, and is crucified by being attached to a man-made object, a cross of wood, a tree, but an unnatural tree. Jesus, the Christians, crucify us into culture, not into nature. This isn't an argument. This doesn't disturb any of us in here. It's just a difference of understanding. So Jesus helps us to have power to believe in this time when we have to call civilization west for 2,000 years. And we need Jesus to help us do that because we can't identify with the animals and the clouds anymore. Jesus came to help us get Western man and cover the earth in just what we have covered it in and who we are now. Oh, this is just me being fun. So here's the turtle. As you can see, there's quite a lot to know about turtles. But who's inside of the turtle? Santa Claus! Everybody knows that, right? Santa Claus is inside of the turtle. All Western civilization comes out of this little man who lives in the turtle and brings us the Christmas tree of everlasting life, which we give thanks to, okay? Santa Claus reemerged at the beginning of the industrial age. So again, this is a reverend who, I'm a reverend now, but I was a poet and a scholar when I was doing all this research. And also desperately seeking a way to believe in Christmas because my wife loves Christmas, but my Indian self is like, every time we would come, I was like, we're going to get rolled over again. But my wife has such a tender and gentle love because her Christmases were so beautiful that I was bound and determined not to destroy it for her. So I researched and researched and researched and fell in love with St. Nicholas. Absolutely fell in love with St. Nicholas. So I can't do, the St. Nicholas story takes 3 hours. We got to stick with this. But I love this came out. Santa Claus reemerged at the beginning of the Industrial Age. Just when Black Elk and Maxwell received the visions of the electromagnetic light of Joaquinion. In the mid-1800s, these are the years of the transcontinental railroad east to west across North America. The time of the great slaughter of the buffalo is the time of the emergence on North America of the people who move into cities of Christian civilization away from the howling wilderness of the wild lands and the Native American savages. The buffalo is slaughtered as the cities arise. Hello, buffalo woman. Thank you, Nana Push, and the book for pointing out to me and fitting this into my story, or the stories that made me feel better. Santa Claus when he was alive, taught the spirit of anonymous giving, which would become the role of a factory owner. And his spiritual teaching was fair trade and equal exchange in all relations. He has been the guiding force of Christendom since his life in 500 AD. The power to believe in the rising forces of industrial urban life and the unnatural tree of world trade that was covering over all the indigenous people and their bioregions. Santa oversees world trade from the North Pole. Although I hear he has to move now because of global warming. The factories are sinking, the reindeer and elves are having great difficulties dealing with the water, so you can look for Santa Claus showing up somewhere else soon. This makes me quiet. Like this. We all are, with this bicameral mind. A two-sided brain. And in between is our spirit up here. Anything that we think can never reach our spirit. This is like our little Google bot. It's just always there to take care of us. But anytime we think what we think is what's taking care of us. No. Because our heart and our mind and our spirit knows what to take care of in this world, in this living world. Like that, just like that. And that's the moon goddess. These are the two horns of the mind. But in the emptiness of this living moment, which is just us being here, just us being here, right now, that's the emptiness. I'm not talking mystical. It's just when we're in life, we're making the decisions that make life happen. When we're sitting alone going, dragging our horns around, we know suffering, mental suffering, unlike any other time in history, the top of the information age. We just know this mental suffering. But the moon is the goddess of the duality of the mind. And the moon is the weaver of all life on earth. And the moon is the weaver of all the eggs on earth. Only the Creator and creation can return us to our natural origins. Elder natives are waiting for Western civilization to lead. Many Christians are in a desperate pursuit for the return of Christ, who promises to return us to our aboriginal state of being Adam and Eve lived in before the fall. Curiously, the great Christian Christopher Columbus witnessed that the Mesoamericans were living in a state of innocence he only heard tell of as the state of Eden, as the state he learned of as Eden. And then he cut off their hands because they would not tell him where to find gold. The United States government acknowledged, for having signed the Geneva Convention after Hitler, that it is, in America, a federal offense to honor people who participated in willful genocide. In the United States of America, Columbus Day is in fact an illegal holiday. But don't worry, everything will happen just like it's supposed to. I read the turtle story. I wrote a long turtle essay, which you've heard a part of, I caught a snapping turtle. I brought it to my house, and before I published it, I read it to a snapping turtle. See, Indians just do that kind of stuff. I read the turtle story to a snapping turtle I caught and brought it to visit my home. The turtle told me everything will happen just like it's supposed to. Black Elk tells us when the forces of Western civilization are finally destroyed, dead, they become a turtle. Which isn't a mystical thing, it's just how Black Elk says civilizations rise and fall, and that's all. The people keep going on. Nature keeps going on. As Mushum found in the Bible, the mothering earth and the fathering sky abideth forever. However much our fears are, and at this point in time, we are mostly all full of them in our heads. However much that is, it's Black Elk's teachings, it's Christ's teachings, it's Buddha's teachings. The earth and the fathering sky are just there all the time. Right underneath our bottoms, right above our heads. So like that. Now we'll do Kim. So just to make this a little bit different, we'll go, we're going to interrupt occasionally, because what we all know how to do is make pictures in our head. And you guys are all great listeners, and I think you very fun, bright faces and like that. But I really don't care if you go out of here with anything I know at all. I just want you to feel that the earth and the sky taking care of you in a way that you cannot comprehend. That's the only thing I would want you to walk out of here with. Is just nothing. You don't have to remember anything. There's a lot of fun things, but mostly just in your heart that you go, wow, I really don't know for sure it's as bad as it is. So you kind of shut your eyes and then go, shut your eyes for a minute. And your feet should be rested on the ground flat. And then breathe in a bit. And raise your eyebrows and go up above your head. All the way up above your head is a star. Just one star pointing straight down at you. And the person you're sitting next to has a star pointing straight down at them. And up in the sky, those stars are a trillion billion miles apart. That's fun. Straight down below your tailbone is the center of the world. Every tailbone on the earth of every person points straight down to the center of the earth. The center of the earth is called Grandmother Earth because it is pure and it is light. And everything that's ever been on the earth comes from Grandmother Earth endlessly throughout time. And the center of the earth is continually fertilized through the north and south poles by the celestial Father. Up above your head, the day sky, clouds, the day sky, and up above that, the night sky. And down below where your feet, grab the earth with your feet a little bit, breathe in, smile on your belly, smile on your heart, tip your chin down. Down below you is the center of the world. Right at your feet is the earth that made every single bit of food you ever ate. The earth that gave you all the clothes you have. She's not far away. Just right underneath your feet. Now smile and go. Point your hands down in prayer, prayerfully point your hands down to the ground. And then you can open your eyes like that. You can raise your eyes like this. And now, not prayerfully, like solemn prayerfully. This is not Catholic Church. Then nothing against Catholic Church. So like that. And then Father Sky, and your spirit. Now come down here. Your mind. Down here, your emotions. Come down to the ground, your body. Body. Emotions, mind, spirit, mind, emotions, body, and then smile. Be silly. That's how you get it. Be silly. back down. And there you are. Point your hands out the center of the earth. Oh my God, the center of the earth. Point your hands above the sky. Oh my God, Heavenly Father. Oh, this is easy. Oh, yeah, it's easy, like kids. Thank you, Ken. This is the medicine wheel of the Sioux people, actually of Black Elk. The medicine wheel is, this is the road of, this is the road of difficulties, and this is the big red road. This is the north, and this is the east, and this is the south, and this is the west. And this is just a map of the celestial, the four forces of the sun. So in this room, the sun's going to rise over there and set over there, and the North Pole, well, probably not. But we're going to call that the North Wall, and that the East Wall, and that the South Wall, and that the West Wall in this room. Again, we're going to refer to that occasionally. So there's two suns that we know of, and the one sun is the day sun, like this. This is way old knowledge of biology that everybody always used to know. Every medicine wheel you've ever seen in every single culture, this is what the story is of it. Because this is the essential foundation of life. And that is that there's a sun that goes this way and a sun that goes this way. And those two suns do four winds. Four winds make four winds that are different. And you hear this a lot when you read mystical literature. The four winds, what the four winds are, one wind, and your head goes, what? So I spent years trying to figure that out, and I'm going to tell you right now. So the sun that is over here, that's going to wake us up tomorrow, is the sun that is light. Just light. The light in this room, the light in this room. Just light, the light. The sun has light, right? But that same sun is right now coming up from the south. And where we get to see it is in these little bitty lands are coming up out of the dirt. So that sun is not just light. That sun that comes from the south makes light. So that's the power to make grow. That's the light of life. That's the power to make grow. The goddess comes from the south. The light is fertility. The light makes us grow. The sun wakes us up every day. But this sun is our biological power to heal ourselves. This sun is the sun that loves us. This is the light within us. This is being born of woman. That sun is being born of woman. That sun is light and water. So the south is water. The east is fire. This is Native American science. I'm just giving you a picture of how incredibly beautiful and simple it is. That's water. The sun sets. That's destruction. That's death. That's the end of the day, right? So that's sun as this. That's sun in this object. That's what we think of as atoms, holding things together, right? It's not biology, it's not alive, but the sun is holding this together. The sun is holding the rock together. The sun is holding the bottle together. And the sun is holding my body together as a physical body. But I'm biological. I'm water. I'm a rock like that. So I'm not dead. Then the sun in the north is the great tree of light that runs through the center of the earth, or what we know as the aurora borealis. So that light, that sun, is so gigantic that all the stars and the sun flow into the aurora borealis and run through the earth in a great fathering, like fertility tree, right? The great tree of light that runs through the center of the earth that goes in and impregnates grandmother earth down below and flows out everlastingly. We're on a gigantic tree of light just riding around and around endlessly, and that tree takes care of all of us. So we have the four, which I just got to plant like literally 3,000 of these yesterday. And I have a whole box of them in my truck if you want any. It's parsley. So The motion of the sun appear to activate every moment energy in the four winds. Let's see, Earth experiences distinct and separate ways. East, so the Earth and the atomic structure of physical reality. I think I already told you this. So the importance of it is this is the sun of light, and that's the sun and matter, and this is the sun of light, and that's the sun and the stars. That's the winter. So the winter's in the north because the winter's in the north because the winter comes down from the north. So the north is white. So the north is white. This is winter. It's white. So then let's go like this. This might cause me problems, but it's not going to cause me any problems. I'm going to probably get lost because I'm leaving the text now. But this is going to be more fun to do with you because. So here's how we learn it in science. So here's the dawn sun or the horizontal sun, and it travels around the Earth like that. Or that's just the apparent how we see it when this is me. I guess I must be somewhere middle. So anyway, then this is the north-south sun, or the power to make grow. So the medicine wheel is how the Sioux would teach their children. You're in this two ways of living, and so then this road is called the road of difficulties, because if you live just for the day, you're just waking up with your energetic body, your mind goes on, and you go, I gotta make coffee. Oh, this is what I do. Oh, I gotta make coffee for Mary. So you wake, I'm sleeping, I wake up, and my mind goes on, and then I'm a character in culture. I'm a character, this is the way of being a character in culture, so it's the road of difficulties. So my energetic body's in a material body with a bunch of other material bodies, and we're trying to do something, right? So I'm stuck in a condition of difficulty. This road, however, the north-south road, the Great Spirit is behind me, and the Great Mother is all around me. This road is the road where children are born, the road where plants come out of the earth, the road where the great mystery is, everlastingly. The North Pole is behind me. I don't know how. It impregnates everything that's around me, but it does. The garden comes up every year, the rainbow garden comes up from the south, and the flowers come up out of the ground, and the hibernating animals come up out of the ground from the south. They come up, the sun's waking them up, and they emerge as living beings all around me. And that happens. And so see how if in Aboriginal, it would be your experience every year, and it would be just fascinating and mystical and real, and the only way you could eat. The only way you could eat. So the other reason this makes crazy sense is Black Elk says we always face south. It took me 20 years to figure out what it meant. We always face south because dawn, noon, dusk, moon. Youth, adult, elder, ancestor. Can't know the ancestors. You don't know the young, we know the adults, we know the elders, then they're gone. We know the spring, we know the summer, we know the fall, then the seeds are in the earth. The seeds are in the earth. It's white everywhere. That's why this is the rainbow. Then we can go to yoga. White spine, rainbow body. Rainbow chakra for excretion, red chakra for excretion, orange chakra for reproduction, yellow chakra for digestion, green chakra for circulation, blue chakra for respiration, dark blue chakra for imagination, violet chakra for connection to God, and back down to the earth, like that. Blue, red mixed together, blue, red mixed together. White, the rainbow. White, the rainbow. Our bones have no interest in anything sensual. The winter, the Great Spirit, God, the white giant that lives, all things sacred, all things inexpressible, have no interest in anything sensual here. White, the rainbow. White, the rainbow. So this is Indian in the sense that Native Americans were trying to figure out if I was naked in front of you, which I would be if I could, but you guys couldn't handle it, is that it's because you think naked is something that's sexual. Naked is innocence. When you go, if your Black Elk goes to pray naked, You go to pray naked because you realize you never left your mom's womb. You're dead. When you came out, you're gone. You don't own anything. You don't get to keep anything. You're just going straight back. And if you're in the Aboriginals are just much closer all the time to that fact. And they didn't have all the crap in their head that we have about how to adjust, how making sure I did the right thing to you. If you don't say it, you're going to tell Eddie. Eddie's brother shoots people, or you're going to cause insurance problems. You know what I mean? It's a shit house. It is. It's a shit house. So you got it. So what all the religions teach you is the golden ball above you that goes into your heart. It's a part of your ability to reproduce is sacred. And death itself, which is akin to your excrement, is sacred. The death goes down and it covers. I spend a whole lot of time with shit. I gave up talking to people 8 years ago. This is like a debut for me because I'm a farmer now. My new experiment with my Indian identity is I'm a farmer, and just this year I became a hunter. I love to entertain people, but it's so hard right now. But anyway, I'm very glad, extremely glad to be able to share this. But I do want to. This is my wife and I's medicine wheel garden in our backyard. Again, that would be more like how does a mixed blood honor what he knows? And one of the ways is just like you would put the Virgin Mother Mary in the backyard. This is just the medicine wheel honoring that the four directions are what holds the world together, that I can't get out of participating in this culture as much as I frickin' tried for years, which is why I have a broken neck and carpal tunnel and go to see a psychotherapist, because I tried to get out of this mess all the time. The Indian was like, how the hell can I get out of this mess? But now, but one of the ways I tried to get out of it was to try to make this be believable and to love this. So anyway, this is our medicine wheel garden, and Mary grows red flowers here, and yellow flowers there, and blue flowers there, and white flowers there, and it's in our backyard just to honor the cosmos. So again here, fire is light, sunrise, spring, sun and water, power to make grow, sun, moon, summer, power to destroy, or as in fall, sunset, clouds, lightning, moon. The clouds come from the west, and that's the other way we see the sun, is in the clouds, which we are going to come to very soon. Sun flows in the earth, the color of the earth, and the sun in the earth. So the sun and the sun in the earth, but the point being, once again, here's white, here's red, yellow, and blue. This is the Sioux. This isn't the Sioux medicine wheel. This is specifically Black Elk's medicine wheel. So we go like this. Here's your energy body. Okay, we'll do this like this. So it's kind of like you're going to imagine your body. Don't have your brain attached to this thing. So things like this. Here's youth. And then go in front of you, even with your hands going for adult, elder, ancestors, and spring, and summer's in front of you, fall's to the right of you, winter's to the back of you, the future, the present, the past, and the eternal. And so the medicine wheel teachings of the four directions are, don't spend your time looking in the past for the eternal. The eternal is behind you. It's not, and this is an error of most Western people, and me. I get an A+ on this. The eternal is not in the content of what you offer people with your mind. That's not the eternal. That's idolatry. I'm the king. I'm one of the kings. I'm one of the kings of the devil. The demon just means to know. And all demon means is to know. And I carved this. This is called the Aboriginal Industrialist. I'm a dude that makes icons. I also carved this. I make icons. This is the Thunderbird. I did my own damn religion in the past of my life. So you're anyway. It's an honor to share you some of my stolen teachings. Thank you. I hope I dearly hope you benefit in your life. So again, here's just this marvelous understanding of putting yourself in the center of what literally is just wherever you're at, you always face south. You can't get to your spirit guides. They're just there in the unknown field. You don't need to say it's got to be Jesus or you can. Whatever you do is all right with me. I believe in what you believe because I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in what you believe, whatever you believe, because I believe in you. I believe in your heart. I believe in whatever you need to do to survive. Because I spend my time trying to tell you exactly what to think. Man, it's a bad road. It's a very, very difficult road. That's why Black Hawk calls it the difficult road. So anyway, throw in the rainbow and you got this crazy, you got the rainbow goddess. The whole rainbow is like that. So you got whiteness behind you and the rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, white. White, the rainbow. White, the rainbow. The rainbow comes from the south. This is the oldest terms for the goddess. The white goddess is in the north, rainbow goddess is in the south. And And here she is. Bloom, fruit, fall, seed. Spring, summer, fall, winter. The great tree of life in the center of the four seasons. The green hoop of life, which Black Elk talk always refers to the green hoop. Always. The green hoop is our salvation. The green hoop is also what in the intention is of the Christmas wreath. The green hoop. The plants that are around this, you ate something today. It was a green hoop. It came from the green hoop. It made you you. The green hoop is just the plants that are around this building right now. You can't eat most of them, but there's a green hoop around this building. Then there's a green hoop that's this bioregion. Then there's a green hoop that's this whole continent. Then there's the equatorial green hoop that's down there and it's gigantic. Those are the green hoops. That green hoop, that gigantic green hoop, is what takes care of all of us and gives us all food. All of us food from this gigantic green hoop. And it used to be that if we were Iroquois, with the Iroquois that lived here, we would know deer coming out over there. And we would go get the deer. And we would know where the wild potatoes were. And that would be our grocery store. But then, and now it's like the whole entire world feeds us. That's the difference. Tribalism was destroyed and all people had to become one people because of trade, because we could trade across the world, all the people got to have food from all over the world. And that's why tribalism doesn't work. And it's a bad and difficult thing, and I know because I've tried so hard to make tribes. And if you try to make tribes in this time, you will suffer. It will hurt you. Yeah. We just aren't built for it. I don't even want to go there. So anyway, here's the picture of what scientists say happens from the sun. The sun comes into the earth. The electromagnetic radiation, solar wind, cosmic rays, sunlight, all named for the same stuff. The light that comes down to the earth, comes into the earth, hits this exosphere, does this electromagnetic field thing. There's an ionosphere that's a white egg that's around the earth that I call her the Virgin Mother. It literally is an egg, and it protects us, and we're inside her great whiteness. But it's also the thing that they bounce all the worldwide web crap on. So inside of here, it's really freaking muddy now. And it didn't used to be like that. There wasn't all kinds of information just bouncing the shit all over between the net. And everywhere. It used to be just sunlight coming in, making flowers grow, people grow. But now there's shit everywhere in the sky, right, like that. So the ionosphere is stuff with stuff, and the Christian mystics the Christian mystic Chardin in the early 1900s saw this coming, and he tried to teach science. He would have got himself in all kinds of trouble because he was a mystic. That's what happens if you're a mystic. And he told the scientists, people made a new field. in between the Earth and the ionosphere, and it's called the noosphere. He was a Christian mystic, and he said, there's the place where people think, and it now has a complete existence. But he didn't even know anything about what was going to happen with computers. He had no idea. And he believed that the center of this noosphere that scientists should say, there's geology, there's biology, above biology is the noosphere, is what he named it. And he wanted scientists to go, you guys got to start getting this in the story, because it's here now. And I haven't heard anybody ever mention this guy. But in any case, he was just an incredibly devout Christian, and he believed that the center of the noosphere must be love. And wow, who'd ever think of that in the middle of this shit right now? I mean, it's not shit. All of you, I just can't do it. I can't do any of that stuff. This is high tech for me. But anyway, the point is you're all making a beautiful life with these things, and I'm very thankful for that. But from again, from our species' point of view, this thing that's happened between the ionosphere and this world is brand new, and it won't go away until the dams are broken, which is one of the suggestions from the Sioux culture. Somebody's going to come along and destroy the dams, because at some point we just won't be able to tolerate what's happening with the electromagnetic field. Great. I'm very thankful to have this. That this is a moment in time. It will go away. So the Sioux say, what do you think when you read this? The Sioux say, the firstborn, I mean everborn, on this earth was spider, sky, and rock. That's the first thing that came to be. So again, all this stuff took me 25 years to figure out. Here's a spider. Here's the earth. Here's the moon, a silver thing that weaves strings. Here's the moon, silver thing that weaves strings. Here's the earth. I don't know who did that. I drew all this stuff, but years ago. Here's the sun. So watch what happens. Reflect it. I'm gonna go back. Let's go back. Oh my God. So that means that the Sioux knew this was happening. What do you see here? Two arms going out this way, two arms going down that way, the moon right here. The firstborn was spider. The electromagnetic energy went into a stone. The stone shape was this big tree. Big electromagnetic tree impregnated the stone. I don't know. That's what the Sioux say. Makes sense to me. Spider is the firstborn. So then I flip the spider just for the next slide. So here's spider. This is from the top. Here's spider's web. The earth is constantly turning. So out of it is just this out of the North Pole is just this continual web. Like unrolling of love. Just like unrolling of everything that happens, like a big chimney. It's just like going off into space, which is where we're supposed to let go of the ideas that we don't need to keep on anymore. Maybe that's why the globe's melting. So anyway, if you want to be, again, what I'm here to do is share the immensely beautiful way that the Sioux people teach something we already know. This is a sweat lodge. Here's what's called the eternal fire. Here's the moon. The pipe represents the people. And here's the earth. And you get the stones hot. You bring the stones into the center of the inipi. You cover this with blankets so that it's completely black inside. Here's the earth. Here's the moon. Here's the sun. And then you have this down here. Earth, moon, the sun, or the earth, and the moon. And here's the great tree of light running down through the center of the earth, and the North Pole, and the South Pole, and this incredible web, and this incredible tree. And here's an inipi that we've done in the past at Kim LeClaire's quarry garden. Here's the eternal fire. Here's the head of the turtle. Use the pitchfork to get the hot stones and put them inside of the earth, and you go in and you pray to the four directions, like you use the medicine wheel teachings, and you're just talking about just earth forces. You're not, well, in the Sweat Lodge that I run, you're just being thankful for exactly what is. And we did, I learned to do this by being just the firekeeper for a man who learned from the Sioux people. All I did was, my job was to use the pitchfork and put the stones in while he conducted the ceremonies. And then because of that, I got given a pipe. And then the pipe allows me, after I carved the pipe, it allowed me to be able to run an Inipi ceremony. So this would be an example of college. This would be an example of going to school. You go to school, you did a lot of work, here's this, you have one of these, you can teach this now, like that. And so again, I hope that I'm honored to bring that to share with you, because there is this other world. It does make sense. It is beautiful, and I hope maybe we will someday be able to make use of some of it again, you know. And like the judge says, right now that's my job. Like that's one of my jobs, is to just carry on what I can or can't, and we're carrying on what I can as much as I can. So, rock creates Bakinyan. In the beginning, rock made a shapeless creature, or rock. This is Sioux teachings. A rock cloud, rock's energy field, the energy field went in the rock like we showed before. The light goes into a rock, the material object begins to create an electromagnetic field, not only this way, but around, so just like that, it's going like that, just like the earth because of the sun. And then a magnetic field is created, and then sky, so this is how the Sioux talk, sky taught Wakinyan to cover itself in rain. So there's these little dots of dust, the little dots of dust that have light in them, get covered in water, and they rise up into the sky and become a rain cloud, and then that's where lightning comes from, and that's called the Thunderbird. So here's this is one of the most fascinating things that I think I've ever found, as far as understanding how Native American people could teach something so incredibly difficult to teach as electromagnetic energy, the existence of an electromagnetic field. So you know that there's an electromagnetic field inside of the thunderhead. And in the west, thunderheads are incredible. In South Dakota, you see a cloud come all alone. In the east, it's not like that, but if you've been out west and you've seen them come, it's a beam, and you're like, dude! And then when you see lightning come down from them, you're like, and then if you think that Native American people never heard a gun go off, never heard a railroad train, never heard a rock and roll band, when that thing went and a herd of buffalo by a bazillion comes crashing over your teepees, you go like, that's a bird! That's a thunderbird! Holy schmo! You got it, and it rises way up in who's respected. And that's why you hear about the thunderbird. That dude, before we had what we have, the thing that went boom here was only a thundercloud. And so in the cosmology of the experience of human beings, nothing makes that sound. And nothing can cause a stampede like that. And nothing can cause a flood that can just destroy our houses. So again, we lived in this other condition, or the Native American peoples did, and that's what made these things be taught about like they were. So, you know there's a bird. So you call it a bird because you got to figure out how to describe it to your kids. So there's a bird inside the cloud. Inside the thunderhead, there's a bird called the thunderbird. So the thunderbird, but it's a bird, but it has no feet. It only has talons. It has no mouth. It's a bird, but it has no mouth, but it has a huge toothed beak. It's a bird, but it has no throat, but its voice is thunder. It's a bird, but it has no head. Its eye is lightning. It's a bird, but it has many jointed wings for encircling. It's able to be large or small. It's Wakinyan. So they just undressed the bird until it became what we would know as a battery. or as an electromagnetic field, naked traveling inside a thunderhead. That's fascinating. You get your kids together and you tell them this story so that they know up inside of that is that stuff that comes down. That's how they can talk lightning. Like that. Isn't that just, wow, incredible. So then, again, in science, what we learn, this is just me trying to, I can tell all of you are so beautiful people. Like you already get it. Like I already convinced you that these two people have a lot going on as far as an understanding of nature. But these are things that when I was originally writing the article, the science teaches us that inside of a water drop is Joaquinion, or the electromagnetic field. Inside the cloud is Joaquinion, or the electromagnetic field. Inside the whole Earth is Joaquinion, or the electromagnetic field. Inside the whole entire galaxy is the whole entire solar system is Joaquinion. So the Sioux say, again, it sounds mystical, it sounds unscientific, it sounds like savages. They say Joaquinion are many, but the many are one. There's no separation between the electromagnetic field inside the raindrop, or this, or this, or this. It's just one electromagnetic field. That's where you get the idea that God is one. There's no, the electromagnetic field whining around in the little tiny raindrop is coming from the same exact source and is a part of the same dang thing that the center of the universe is doing. There isn't a separation. It's all just one gigantic electromagnetic field. And that's what Maxwell discovered, James Clerk Maxwell. So then the other beautiful thing, like I mentioned to you, and the thing that was so hard for us, or maybe not you, but me, is to understand, because I was a drafter, and I loved machines when I was younger. And mostly I learned things from machines, which is how we learn things in school. And so for me to find a culture where that thing in the clouds down on Earth, it has a positive and negative that make fertility, that make rain, fertility rates. It's in the cells, the electromagnetic force. Electromagnetic force goes like this. It makes all the plants, every plant's doing the same thing the planet's doing. It's going like this, I get grow like that. I'm the sun, the person. And all the plants are sacred. All the plants are sacred. So, and then also the electromagnetic generative force between when the rainbow awakens between you and another person. The rainbow, the chakras, remember? Whiteness. You gotta keep your independence by holding your whiteness, just like religions teach you. Then you aren't overcome by when your rainbow goes. Pull yourself back to your spine. You're taken care of by the father and the mother. No, but no. So then, see, it's all that, yes, like that. So then, basically, that's just to show that even the form of my physical body is held together by the generative force. This is just because I carved this and I love this. It's the water table. I carved it because we're in the age of Aquarius now. The 2012 thing will be another 3-hour talk. So anyway, but this is just to honor the fact that in every single precious raindrop falling down from the sky right now is filled with a new light of this year, of this spring, is on its way into the roots of the little bitty plants, and we're going to get to eat some of them, and they gave us life, and it's just right there, and it's the thunderbird. And it's and when you leave here, I don't know why you have to know anything I know. That's only happened in the last 2 years of my life that I start to be a little bit happy in my heart that I don't have, I thought you needed me. I was sure you all needed me. And that's what I would call spirituality, but I mean, I don't know if you can get there unless you do the work you're asked to do. I don't know. I don't have any. Google button right here. Everybody's got a Google, just taking care of you. So anyway, this is just the precious wonder of the goddess, the moon, the sun, love on the earth, the medicine wheel, the birthplace of all things, that the rainbows in the drop of water. Yeah, I admit this is just a symbol that I love that I wanted to share with you because I do a lot of art and I don't get to share a lot. Yeah, but mostly Again, I don't want you to remember that. I just want you to go out and when the rain touches your face, God still makes rain. God still makes rain. All right. There we are. That's kind of how I look at it. He didn't have one though. And then we get to James. This is Black Elk and this is Maxwell. James Clerk, the Scottish physicist, James Clerk Maxwell. Both Black Elk and Maxwell in the mid 1800s had the vision of, I'm going to use the term had the vision. So one of the things is if because the mid 1800s and this is Maxwell and he's a Scottish physicist, scientists don't have visions. Scientists can't talk to God in our Western culture. Scientists, even if they have a vision, have to lie about it and say, I have a theory. I thought this shit up. And then I'm going to prove it to you by getting all these little ducks in a row, and you're going to see what my theory was. So James Clerk Maxwell is a devout Christian who kept Jesus in his mind all the time. And by the age of 5, he had already read, he had read the Iliad and the Bible and the classics. And so the guy, whatever. So anyway, he becomes his father's grandfather were right on the cusps of when you see something, you turn it into a machine or you turn it into math. Because it's just the bursting out. People are bursting out to make this industrial revolution happen and to use mechanical power to serve the people. And the people in the cities, for instance, New York City, are still burning, using fire in their houses, and it's prohibitive against the population. So we need plumbing and we need wiring. And it turns out that when people pray, when people look, they solve their problems. And in the mid-1800s, these two men, this man solved the problem of electromagnetism. And this man gave us the vision of a spiritual vision from a Native American perspective of what happened. So this man, Black Elk, told his vision to Neinhart, and he wrote Black Elk Speech, which was published in 1930. Black Elk was in the war with Custard and shot a man in the head when he was 14. Black Elk rode a horse bareback with a bow and arrow and shot a buffalo through the heart riding a horse bareback when he was just 13. Black Elk was a full-blooded Sioux, holy, and then his father and grandfather were holy men, so he was destined to be a holy man. And then the guy lived to 1950. The guy lived all the way through the atom bomb. The guy survived the genocide of his own people, and at the age of 30 became a Catholic catechist because he had to be a holy man and he had to serve the Great Spirit, and he knew that because you got killed. If you were serving the Great Spirit with the Indian ways, you got killed. There was no two shits about it. So Black Elk says, I'm not going to get killed, but I have to tell these people that there's a God and that their souls are one with that God and that they return to him. So he just took the Bible to them and said, I'll use this material because they'll kill me if I use mine. And he doesn't say any of that because he was full blood. I don't know how much even English he knew when he died. He was teaching to his people. So the point is what I know. Never mind. We're going to move on to. So this is James Clerk Maxwell's biography. It's titled "The Man Who Changed Everything," because your computer came from this man. Your TV came from this man. Those little paint chips that you see up at when you're going to buy paint at Walmart or wherever the hell you buy your paint. All those little paint chips came from this man. The color television was invented by this man. The statistics, the mathematics of statistics, this man. The foundation of computer theory, this man. All of it came from James Clerk Maxwell. the fact that when you run a bead of light up a wire, it goes off into a sphere. It goes into a sphere. This man, Albert Einstein, thinks that Maxwell's discovery of light expanding in a sphere is the greatest discovery of after Western civilization is gone. Albert Einstein says the greatest thing was this man discovering that light expands as a sphere. Go figure. Who even knows the name James Clerk Maxwell? It's bizarre. And the reason is, if you ask me, is he was a poet. He was a full-bodied poet. And he'd be in physics class, and he would jump up on his desk and go, ready, 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 because he knew we were all cuckoo. And we were all, because his spirit was so immense. I'm sure he had crazy difficulty in little boxes trying to give us A's or B's or C's or D's. And so, but he had to have a professorship, so he had to make money. So that's what he was. But he got enemies. He got enemies because his mind was so big. So this is Black Elk, who is honored as a holy man all over the world for the book Black Elk Speaks and his vision. And I'm gonna try to go with this for a second and see what happens. My focus will be on Black Elk's teachings, but I will refer to the life and work of Scottish physicist James Clerk Maxwell, a contemporary of Black Elk's. Contemporary. These two men were alive at the same time. Maxwell's discovery guided me to recognize the severe science in Black Elk's graceful fable. In 1873, Maxwell published Electricity and Magnetism. His discoveries made the world over. Maxwell brought all the world, into the atomic and electromagnetic age. Before Maxwell, scientists didn't believe in atoms and didn't believe in electromagnetism. They hadn't proven it. It hadn't been solidified. Maxwell did that. All of a sudden the world was a field of atoms held together by an electromagnetic field. It didn't exist as a fact until James Clerk Maxwell brought it together. And nobody knew that electricity and magnetism together were light. James Clerk Maxwell proposed that as a theory. Nobody knew that in Western man. And James Clerk Maxwell, so anyway, we received much of what we know from Black Elk's teachings from the American epic poet John G. Neinhardt to give it the world with the book Black Elk Speaks. Black Elk was a Sioux holy man. He was standing on Black Elk Speaks, giving thanks to the sun. Black Elk is aware that his knowledge of Wakinyan, the Wakinyan horse field, the electromagnetic light forces of Wakinyan in the body of the Thunderbird will make a good nation over. The Sioux way of life will be made over by the forces of the electromagnetic light coming to the human beings. Black Elk witnessed the attempted genocide of his Sioux peoples, and at the age of 30 he converted to Catholicism and was an active catechist, urging his people to accept biblical teachings. He had this power because he was chosen by the Great Spirit to receive the vision of the earth as one home for all humanity, the flowering tree. Vine Deloria Jr., perhaps the greatest of Native American scholars, describes Black Elk's teachings as a key to translation from modern American into older American Indian modes of thought. That translation potential is what I'll attempt to share with you. So I already did when I was sharing with you the medicine wheel teachings and the 4 places where light is: light as fire, light in water, light in earth, light in air. Those are all medicine wheel teachings from Black Elk. Those are all like this really interesting foundation where we can discover that how Western science and Native American science meet. Black Elk's holding the pipe. The pipe represents the body, and the stem. The pipe is used in ceremony, and this is our body, or the earth and water of our body, the earth and water of the mother, and then this is the fire and the air of the father, and then also this is the spirit and the body. And so during a ceremony or during a religious ceremony, when you go like this, then we're all like, when the priest comes out, then your spirit in you, and we enter a different kind of attention as a ritual. You know, we're not all akin to rituals. That's one of the difficulties of now. But the point is then you're just saying, oh, we're in a time now where we're going to allow ourselves to think differently. And then we'll take the pipe out and we'll go do what we did, like that, just like going to church. It's the thing. It's the thing that identifies Now we're in church. But of course, for the Sioux, or indigenous people, the church is the sky and the earth. There's no walls to the church. It's just churches everywhere. That is nature. So anyway, the Black Elk has the pipe. So for Black Elk, like that's just the exact same thing, again, like I explained to you before, as the priest with the Bible and the cross. But the difference is the pipe is about our incarnation of the Spirit in our body on earth amongst animals. This, and just from how I've resolved the story of Christ, this is about us not living and dying in the 4 seasons of life, but this is about us living and dying inside of a culture that's going to eventually crucify us. In that we have to have a job working for the culture. And so Jesus had to come along, this is just my humble opinion of Jesus, but how I had to resolve him as a Native American, is Jesus came along to say, look, this isn't a human thing. There's a gigantic change coming across the world, and Jesus is going to help you accept it. And so you're going to get stuck inside of boxes doing a bunch of stuff that's not indigenous. So the point is if you already were inside of the box and you don't separate yourself from that, you can just accept Jesus. But if you're an Indian and this is a part of what killed your parents, you're going to have a problem with this thing. It's not going to be a happy thing. And so again, all of the work that I've done all my life mentally is to try to resolve this and live and find that I could be happy with love that I can give just as me being me, and not trying to resolve. I already did resolve all the problems that I had mentally in my struggle just to be me in my struggle with the Christian world. So anyway, this is Maxwell's favorite toy. Now, again, this is just kooky. So this is Maxwell's favorite toy. So this is like his pipe. So here's where Black Elk has his vision. At 9 years old, Black Elk falls ill. His thighs swell up. His thighs swell up to this enormous size. So, in my opinion, this is what allowed him, if I was a scientist, this is what allowed him to conceive of what it was going to be like when Western industrial civilization came along. Virtually, we are cut off from here down to the earth. We used to have our body running into the earth and the earth running into us. But because we were forced to do this for 18 frickin' years, and just think, we don't even know what it's like to stand next to a river and feel the river inside of our feet. Most of us don't, anyway. But we used to know, anyway, that's kind of big. That's one of those. I just did one. I only did one. Usually I do a million of those, where I go off in a little loop that's like, I was thinking about writing this down, but, okay, so anyway. But now so the coolest thing, the silliest thing about this is he was in a teepee. He was 9 years old. He fell into a coma. He was in a coma for 14 days. For 14 days he was up in the sky with Wakan Takan, and it's this marvelous journey of horses and grandfathers, and mostly it's the formation of this teepee. So Black Elk comes into this teepee and he sees there's white horses over here, red horses over here, yellow horses over here, black horses in the west. And the horses start turning. And as the horses start running in a circle, the teepee rises from the cloud. So they're in a cloud, and the colored horses start running like this. And as the horses run, the teepee emerges. And this is the magnetic force creating the electric force rising up, as you would know, as Maxwell would know. But Jeff Cochran only knows it as poetry. So the point is if you take the magneto force, which is circular, and go around and around like this, a teepee of matter will rise up like that. That just happens, right? So Black Elk saw that inside of here. After the teepee arose, if you do this and the electromotive force rises, after the teepee arose, the teepee emitted a rainbow of light out in a ray. No, we're not going to do that next. The teepee emitted a rainbow of light as a ray, but he saw the ray as a sphere. a rainbow sphere. Maxwell thought that's just overwhelmingly crazy, the biggest thing to discover in Western thought, because Black Elk actually saw a ray of light be a sphere of light. That's kooky, right? So that's like stuff you read Einstein say, right? So the point is he saw it in a teepee when he was 9 in a coma. Okay, he saw it, and so then at the end, I can go on about the other thing he saw, but I don't even want to do that anymore. It's beautiful to be here, but. So anyway, the crazy thing is this: I wouldn't have made the leap between Maxwell's favorite toy if I hadn't been thinking about this. I don't suppose you're going to recognize the similarities. Okay, so rainbow colors spinning. Watch. You know what he did with this? He put colored paper onto this part in little patches, and then he would turn, this actually is upside down, but I put it like this because that's how it is in the museum it's in, but also because it looks exactly like Black Elk's teepee with the rainbow flower coming out with the rainbow. But he used this, and he would put the colors on that side of this and spin it, and the 3 colors or 4 colors would become 1 color. And so he began the study of color measuring and mixing. And everything that happened in science after that about measuring colors came from this toy. That's why I meant if you go up to Walmart or Lowe's and get paint, it came from this. This little thing that Maxwell played with in the mid-1800s. So anyway, for Black Elk, all of the world turned into this raindrops in a thundercloud with this electromagnetic force holding it together. That's exactly what Maxwell taught the world when he published Electricity and Magnetism. Same story. Only Black Elk's got to come down and tell his people what he saw, and he doesn't have the word atom, but he does have the word raindrops, and he does have the background of the Wakinyan, because that stuff I told you before, that was already in his tradition. The Thunderbird was already a part of Sioux knowledge, the foundation. The medicine wheel was already a foundation of Sioux knowledge. The change that happened was Wakan Takan said all the people on the world used to be related to animals. But what happened was Wakan Takan had to make all the people have one helper spirit. The one helper spirit is the thunder beings. A thunder being nation is occurring. May you behold them. The cool thing about the thunder being nation is all the people have the clouds as their one helper spirit. The clouds travel all the way around the earth. So everybody can be in this one helper spirit. If your helper spirit's a gazelle, you aren't going to be talking to the people in Idaho. If your helper spirit's a turtle, well, we got to stop the examples. So anyway, the point is that walk on top. We say that Western industrial civilization wrapped the world so that all the people could be one. But Wakan Takan came and brought the power of electromagnetic forces to show the people, and at the same time, Maxwell saw that and gave us all the electromagnetic information, all the electromagnetic. Here's Black Elk's teepee. Here's Black Elk. So Black Elk's a holy man. So he paints himself. I accented this, but he paints himself with the light running through him because that's what his job is, to teach people that the light is in their body. So then Black Elk witnessed and teaches this as raindrops in a cloud held together by the horse field of forces of Wakinya. This vision of the world would allow both men to witness the foundation of existence of all the cosmos as a field of light holding atoms in their forms of reality. Black Elk says of his vision, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw. For I was seeing in a sacred manner the shape of all shapes as they must live together like one being. And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that make one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight.
and in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to shelter all the children of one mother and one father. And I saw that it was holy. The holiness of his witnessing a scientific fact of the construction of the cosmos is named holy because amidst the witnessing is an awareness that all that is witnessed is also one consciousness. After receiving his vision, he said, I would take my horse and go out. So he's 9. He's 9. That happens to him at 9. After receiving his vision, he said, I would take my horse and go out and compare everything on earth with the things in my vision. Black Elk, a Sioux holy man, and a scientist. Maxwell was a devoted Christian, but he believed his relationship to God is not to be public. He knew that he was no better than anyone else in explaining the relationship between the physical and spiritual worlds. Even so, he guided the consciousness of Western science into the ways of knowing already occupied by religious thought. Maxwell did not accept the second law of thermodynamics. This is one of the reasons we don't hear about Maxwell. Maxwell did not accept the second law of thermodynamics, which theorizes that all energy will eventually dissipate and existence will come to an end. Maxwell wouldn't or couldn't say this openly, but he believes in the promises of the continuance of life from the promises of Christ and many other spiritual mythopoetic traditions he read tell of at a very early age. To solve this problem, Maxwell hypothesized that there is consciousness existent within the electromagnetic field who could make choices on the molecular atomic scale and so have the power to reverse the exhaustion of energy in the material world and activate the continuation of life. An active reversal of the second law of thermodynamics. This hypothesized consciousness became known as Maxwell's demon. Maxwell was critically attacked by nearly all of his contemporaries. This may be why he isn't given a place in history. He gave consciousness to the unseen field. Maxwell's demon went on to change the consciousness of all scientific thought. Maxwell's demon began a method of scientific thought experiments that Einstein made his own. Maxwell's demon led to the creation of the information theory, which is the underpinning consciousness that guides our electromagnetic communications devices and all our computer discoveries. Maxwell, who saw what Black Elk saw, made the world over and simultaneously destroyed the Aboriginal peoples. And yet, though he was working for Jesus, Black Elk saw all or the unnatural ones and their unnatural tree. Maxwell was working for Jesus, but Black Elk saw the arrival of the unnatural ones and the unnatural tree of life emerged from Wakantaka, the Sioux named for the Great Spirit. The point being is Black Elk just saw all this coming from Wakantaka. Black Elk saw, this is just so stupid profound. Black Elk, the Native American Sioux, who just witnessed his people suffer genocide, had such an incredible spiritual vision that he knew that the thing that people were a part of was way bigger than anybody could describe in any culture or with any Jesus or with any other thing, and that it was alive and omnipresent. He's told, the Thunder Nation is appearing, may you behold them. The White Geese Nation is appearing, may you behold them. You shall represent the wing of the great giant that lives. He's being talked to by Wakantaka. And the horses. You shall represent the wing of the great giant that lives. You shall create a nation. A good nation will be made over. A nation's center of the earth I shall give you with the powers of the four corners. You wanted my power on earth, so you shall know me. All over the universe my horses are coming. The horse's voice went all over the universe like a radio. It was more beautiful than anything could ever be. Now Black Elk's talking. It was more beautiful than anything could ever be. Every living thing heard this horses sing. Birds, horses, trees, tree leaves, everything in the universe danced to the music of the horse's song. It was so beautiful that they just couldn't help dancing. Everything is living. Trees, flowers, grass, every animal is living because of the song. So inside of that vision, I don't know what windows opened up, but everything everywhere was a part of one big, beautiful song connected to the sun. And that's exactly what they teach about Zeus. Zeus is up inside the sun. He's playing a turtle lair, and as he strums the turtle lair, the music from the sun goes down into the earth and animates and fertilizes everything. Black Elk received his vision at age 9. He lived afraid of the thunder beings, for in his culture, if you don't do what they told you to do, they will kill you with lightning. So then, again, a part of the difficulty I've had entering into Native American things is there's laws, and you don't know, because they don't have elders to teach you, what's a transgression. You just have to go with your own intuition, which is all I've had. But the point is one of the things we get from Native American teachings is, oh, does that mean that because I learned this from Black Elk, that if I don't share this with you, I can walk out the door and be fried? That's funny, but that's not funny if you're taking this thing sincerely. That's, and I am. So I'm glad to be here sharing this with you, by the way. At the age of 16, this little 9-year-old boy who held this vision in him, at the age of 16, fearing for his mental health, because every time the thunders would come, every time it would get cloudy and the thunder beings would come, Black Elk would run and hide afraid for his life as a little boy. So if you're parents and if you're in a tribe, you got a mentally ill little boy. You got a boy with ADHD. Like the thing he's afraid of isn't his bad dad or police. It's the freaking thunderclouds, because he knows there's dudes in there way bigger than the police. So he's like, and starts crying and running around. At the age of 16, fearing for his mental health, his parents brought him to a shaman, and he shared his vision and was told that he had to reenact it on Earth, and so he organized a horse dance. It said, I don't know how this goes. You got to really have a leaf of religious faith to believe this. It is said, historically, that they painted white horses, red horses, yellow horses, and black horses. The tribe did. And they got them around a teepee. And when he started to tell them what was happening, the horses moved the way they moved in the vision. That's what the people say. You really got to have a leap of faith to go that happened, but that's what they say. And I'm not going to not believe it. I don't know what kind of mojo those people shared, but I know that they shared one that I know they had what they had. Then in 1930, he shared the vision with John G. Neinhart. So he did the horse dance. So that was his obligation to his people. And then in 1930, he shared the vision with John G. Neinhart, who was looking around for an old Sioux person to tell him about the old times. So he told him about the old times, but then he found out that Black Elk had something in him he really wanted to tell somebody. And he told Neinhart this vision, and Neinhart went, oh my God. And Neinhart somehow recognized the power of the vision, and actually his publishers didn't want it to be in the book because it was so out there and hard to read. But he put it right in the middle of the book for Black Elk and for the rest of the world, which makes me cry. And then it was available to all people in the book Black Elk Speaks. Maxwell's culture taught him to manifest his vision in mathematical terms. So there's Black Elk teepee. Here's what it was described. Here's what they both saw again. Here's the land, and then the land viewed as electromagnetic theory. And then here's where he saw the light. Those little dots represent the horses. The horses were running around. The clouds filled with horses. You have to read it. It might be really fun to read it after you heard me talk about it. But you're going to go, that guy was a dope. Meaning me. It's like, how the hell do you ever get there? But anyway, so then the 6 grandfather forces, and Black Elk is one of the 6 grandfather forces. And then in Maxwell, made it into math, the same thing that was in the teepee. And this is Black Oak's. Black Oak talks about the stick. And the stick is literally a name for the electromagnetic axis of the Earth. And this is the green hoop I talked about earlier. And this is kind of like Black Oak's eternal go-to for all of us. That this stick in the middle of the Earth is where we come from and where we go to. And while whatever's happening in the mess between us and the top of the ionosphere, the white giant that lives comes down into the top of all of our heads and is always guiding us in a relationship to the spirit of the earth and the spirit of the sky. And so that's how Maxwell just worked with the magnet. This is called Maxwell's equations. From these 4 equations, everything, all those things I told you that he invented, they came from those 4 equations. So Black Oak had the teepee and the horses and the horse dance and the book. These 4 equations made the world over. And those 4 equations brought this whole entire thing. So here's the dam, here's the hydroelectric dam, here's inside the hydroelectric dam, here's the power coming up to the freezer, back to the house, or breaker box. Click on the switch, light bulb, TV. TV, shaped like this, right? White, red, blue, left, picture. Exactly the same thing happened in the horse field. The horses lined up in a line, the white, red, and the yellow horses lined up in a line in front of the teepee. And when they lined up in a line on the wall inside the cloud, horses appeared. What is that? And then Maxwell sees this. Maxwell was the first person ever. He took a red, it's red, red, yellow, and blue, I think. It's not red, yellow, and blue, but the point is he took images and he put a candle behind them and he cast them all onto a screen and he made the first projection of a colored picture, and that led to the invention of every television. And again, Black Oak saw the same exact thing, looking at a teepee shining on a cloud. Same exact thing. So then this came, and you could call it Iktioni, but here's the worldwide, here's the electromagnetic telecommunications. And in a very beneficial way, again, the greatest gift to me for doing this work was to not be in an argument with about it and not have great sadness when I see this, because so anyway, this is this wonderful thing that telecommunications do for us, is the garden that's all around the city. These are supposed to be streets and this is supposed to be a city. The garden that's all around gets to be trucked into the city and feed the people in the city. Just a quick thing, again, I'm going on a little loop, but I love to tell people this, is pretend this is New York City. The sun comes up. The people are in their little houses on their little streets. And they drive into the city and they go up into a tube. And then they work in a little tube. And then the sun sets. And they come out of the tube, come out of the building and they go out to their houses. That's the exact same thing that happens to a tree. It's just the same thing. It's like, it's an upside down tree. And in religious study, in religious teachings, the spirit world is just an upside down version of this world. So anyway, we covered the whole entire world in cities, right? And from this great power. So then this is and again, maybe just this is a simple example of the area used to be dams. And in Black Oak's vision, because in Black Oak's vision, the Missouri River has a blue flaming man in it. And the blue flaming man causes all the problems because he's the force of cities being able to push across the Aboriginal landscape blindly, which is what electromagnetism did for us. We just got to expand inside of cities over the world. And we're all innocent. inside this expansion. That's what Jesus can do for me. Because we are innocent. Well, it's not only Jesus, but Black Hawk. That this expansion happened is only by force of the dam, by force of the internal combustion engine and the electromotive force, is how we got to push across the land without even blinking about what we were just driving across, you know. And again, the greatest gift is to forgive if you're especially, not especially if you're Indian, everybody who knows this, it's a beautiful thing to be able to forgive your personal self and know you're in a really big thing. And you don't get to choose. And you're still going somewhere, so it's awesome. And so anyway, when again, this is a part of me making it all right to have Christmas and studying St. Nicholas, but we dammed the waters and harnessed the electromotive force. And in Black Elk's vision, he actually kills the dam. Like, he actually kills the power that dams the waters. And because of it's an enemy to walk on top of. And I mean, the Sioux people say that someday the electromagnetic power will be taken away from us. And again, you can just say, yeah, well, things change. And the earth will still be growing food and the people will still be here. But in any case, when we flip the world. Like, we used to live the Aboriginal people just lived it. The source of life was the bioregion. And then it still is true that the source of life is the bioregion, but we just aren't witness to that very often. Because now the bioregion can't do it, but the whole entire ecosphere does. And again, that might be that's what Black Elk says. So the white giant that lives, and the wings of the white giant that lives. Black Elk says, a thunder-being nation is appearing, may you behold them. A white geese nation is appearing, may you behold them. Again, how do you teach your kids that there's an electromotive force constantly arising from the aurora borealis, existing as the aurora borealis, all the way around to the south and all the way through the center of the earth? How do you tell your kids that there's an unseen electromotive field that's a part of the great tree of life? Well, the way that Black Elk explains it is the white geese fly from the north to the south endlessly. So the white geese, who they witness, so your kids are witnessing the migration of the white geese. So then they know, you're trying to get them to have a big imagination. They know that the white giant that lives is a part of those aurora borealis things that you see in the winter, that you've seen. So you're trying to you're trying to teach kids everything we think, everything I was taught that Western people were the only people that knew about this, But anyway, then this is at the top of the North Pole, and again, this is where Santa lives and Black Elk lives, and in my opinion, all the holy people look over the world from the top of the world. Now, I'm just a student of comparative religion. Oh, the one thing that we're getting near the end now, but I do want to share with you a very miraculous story about Black Elk. So, as you know, they're receiving the electromotive force that Maxwell discovered and that Einstein discovered. Receiving the light, the power to make all these beautiful things that we have. This great tree, the power to make this tree of Christmas tree domes in the cities. That's what we got to grow. But it simultaneously came with its destruction, which was, it was unavoidable that we were going to find the atom bomb. So we got the we stole the light, just like Prometheus. Maxwell and Black Elk didn't steal the light. Black Elk was asked by Wakan Talking to come up, and he said, look, this is coming down. You want this ball? Take it. Black Elk was offered. The Black Elk was offered to have that vision and make use of it on the ground. But here's what happened. in the vision. Having the awareness of the forces of the electromagnetic light, Black Elk he receives the soldier weed. With the soldier weed, he is aware that he has the power to kill all of the Wasichu. Black Elk himself, because of his vision, had the power to kill all the white people, the invaders who are killing the Indians. But Black Elk knows that the soldier weed will kill the women and children and not just the warrior soldiers, and he can't personally do the killing because it's against the code of a Lakota warrior to kill women and children. But the second factor is he got to go with Wild Buffalo Bill Cody and he went to Germany and France. He saw what was coming. He made friends with white people. People loved him. He came back. This is when he was like 13. He came back to his people before he went to Europe before he did the shaman thing. He got a boat and ended up back at his house. When he was such a holy man that when he was in Europe, he did everything he could to try to get to Israel because he wanted to see the place where Jesus lived. Because in his tradition, as being a holy person, you got this guy over here's got mojo. I'm going to go see where he came from. So in any case, Black Elk had the power. He was given an herb, and the herb that he was given, he literally could effectively kill all the white people. Again, you can believe this or not believe it. So then, but again, he's told by the Thunder Beings that he has this power, but only until the year 1900. Only until if he doesn't use it by 1900, he gives up the right. But it's coming down. Somebody's going to get it. So at the age of 37 in 1900, he gives up the possibility. By that time, all of his people were Christian. Who would you shoot in 1900? If you're a mixed blood, even if you're a full blood, all your grandkids are mixed bloods. There is no white red. Like you can't shoot. It's impossible. And that's what the atom bomb came to show us all. Who are you going to shoot? Everybody's one thing. We're all together. So anyway, in the year 1900, he gives up the possibility of using the soldier weed and becomes a Catholic catechist on December 6th, St. Nicholas Day. And so Black Elk is baptized Nicholas Black Elk after Santa Claus, who is bringing this tree to New York City at the very time Black Elk is having his vision. But the awareness of the destructive power made available by the discovery of light and matter were now, by Maxwell's work, available to human beings. In the history of science, in the year 1900, Madame Curie isolated radium, leading to the invention of the atom bomb. Again, in Sioux Science, I'm going to pull the turtle up again. In Sioux Science, the Sioux people say that nothing is stronger than a turtle's heart. Not even an atom bomb. Imagine coming from that culture. What's that about? But turtles have been here since the very first breaking of stone. They've just been here. And in Native American traditions, if a body has been, the longer a body is here, the closer it is to God. So the longer a body is here, literally the more mojo it has. Like turtles know way more. And the stones know the most. Like stones have seen everything that passed. Like if you give them consciousness, in the Native American sense, that stone has seen a lot. And it's been just looking around, absorbing it. If you give them consciousness, it's a kooky thing. And again, maybe we're in a culture where we're going to start experimenting with that. I don't know. Because I know that, like they say, the goddesses are rising. I know I'm here talking to you without guilt. As Black Elk says, what Black Elk's wish was that at a time when people do not judge, and he experienced judgment from the Christians and from science, and was shut up to the point of his family being killed and his religion's outlawed. Black Elk just wants there to be a time when people do not judge, and then perhaps we can understand the flowering tree again as one people. Like that he wants the truth to be known, and his truth is just what I've been telling you. Like it's not his truth. It's not Indian truth. It's not in an argument with, in my opinion, it's not in an argument with Christ or any of us that are alive. It's just this big, beautiful freaking story that he wanted everybody to have. And he got it by being a little 9-year-old with swollen thighs who got shot up into the sky. But first you got to get people to believe a 9-year-old boy can leave his body and go hang out for 14 days with God. You already got a really hard thing to start convincing people of, right? And that's why it's taken me this long to actually talk to people this comfortably about it, because usually I'm a freaking nervous wreck, because I'm thinking, you got some Christian shit in your head and you're going to want to shoot me like all your other damn relatives did. And that was true in me. I literally, for years, freaking scared to death and it makes me cry right now, because I just carried it around for so fucking long. Like, just being afraid to share something so beautiful. You heard the whole thing. And I've been afraid because of what was done to my mom and my grandma. And look at me, I'm a fucking white guy. I pass for white everywhere. Damn. But anyway, once again, it's such a special honor to be with you. So the other thing I want to tell you about, again, we're just going to, the only thing I want to tell you is about how Black Elk died. But this is just an image of Adam and Eve, or a Native American woman, or a Native American man, or any of us in this room, because the earth and sky still do take care of us. We just don't have the opportunity to completely feel it. I think this is the greatest cartoon on the planet. I'm old enough. I did this probably 25 years ago. I think I should be famous just for this, to not be modest at all. And then in this really harsh truth, the not funny part of it is I've lived this way all my life. The little boy in me has always looked at this guy and went, you know what it's like to be an Indian and have somebody walk up to you holding a book, trying to tell you where God is? And you're looking at the sky and the sun's over his shoulder and the plants are underneath his feet. And he says he's going to kill you unless you bow. This guy's going to shoot you unless you tell him that God's in that book. That's why there's Native American people here. What are you going to say? So what the fuck are you going to say? Like, you're all dressed in costumes. And it takes a lifetime for a Native American man to come through any of that. He just doesn't want to go see any of you. Black, white, red, you're all fucking white people stuck in boxes. And it's no goddamn fun. And that's why you don't see a Native American man, hardly any Native American man make it out. It's just too fucking, everybody's dressed in this. And it's just enormously difficult, the spiritual and mental work you have to do on yourself to get up in the morning and go, you're in a costume, you fucked over my mom. All my life. Like that. Sucks. But I have an absolutely beautiful wife and 2 absolutely beautiful children and lovely friends and this great opportunity to share this with you. And I've had an absolutely beautiful life and I've been able to experiment with these things, and nobody did kill me for doing the things I did. I might have endangered myself through different kind of substances that helped me, but so did everybody else. So then, although none of this was done with hallucinogenics or marijuana, it was all done by a hell of a lot of hard work. Hell of a lot of hard work to put this stuff together. So anyway, this is my wife and I. We live in a house, in a box, on a planet. This is just reminding you of what we've already known, but this. So, now, I know I said this 3 times, so you know I'm a liar. But this is the last. Now we're almost there. Did we go through? Yeah, blackout. Check this out. This made me so on about my work, because most of my work used to be on cardboard. I made so many things out of cardboard for parade. Yes! Black Elk had a cardboard buffalo horn. Black Elk, my chosen spiritual. He didn't choose me, I guess. I don't know how that worked. But he has a cardboard buffalo horn. I was like, yeah! You know what this is? That is one of those concentrated milk cans that the government gives Indians. And this is a wooden package thing that they probably got some kind of subsidized food in. And that's Black Elk, Native American holy man. One of the greatest Native American holy men of all time. And he's got cardboard horns on. That just makes me like, yes! So I can go get my little toys. I got so many little toys that I made. Here's this like most famous Indian. A man in black with lightning flashes all over him had horns and all around him, and the animals and everything were dying. Someday you shall depend on him. There will be a dispute all over the universe. Give a powerful herb. He was given a powerful herb. It could be used in war and could destroy a nation. If you touch this herb, it will kill you at once. This is the Black Elk receiving the herb that had the power of the atom bomb. There will be a dispute of nations, and you will defend your people with this herb. He had the opportunity to do this. There will be a dispute of nations. The Sioux people could be running the planet right now. If you believe this, if Black Elk hadn't said, Sioux warriors don't shoot women and children, and he gave back that gift to God, what kind of a man is that? I mean, if you touch this herb, it will kill you at once. There will be a dispute of nations, and you will defend your people with this herb. This medicine belongs only to me. So this is when he's up in the cloud. God's telling him this. With this herb, everything you face will be like it, and the world will tremble. I was not old enough when I was supposed to use this herb, or else I could have used it and killed many enemies. It was too terrible. This is Black Elk talking. It was too terrible to use, and I'm glad I did not get to use it. I'm glad I did not perform this killing, for I would have not only killed the enemy, but I probably would have killed the women and children of the enemy. I am satisfied I am not well off. Perhaps I would have been a chief if I had obeyed. You fear his innocence within his. He still thinks he's in. That's just innocence. He still thinks he's in a tribe. I could have been a chief if I had obeyed this, but I'm satisfied that I did not become a chief. In the fourth descent, you could hear war all over the world. At the age of 37, Black Elk was to use this herb. It made him sad to think of what harm it would do to women and children. He gave it up and joined the Catholic Church. Black Elk wanted his vision of the flowering tree, the tree of the white giant that lives, shared, so that Indians and non-Indians could come together to one truth. And so he gave up that willingness and accepted his life as a holy person within the Catholic Church. So I'm just going to have to wing this. In his vision, he's surrounded by butterflies. Like all around him are just butterflies. And he sees with his sacred eye that all the butterflies are people. And that he is the earth and all the people are butterflies flying around him. And so then we get this really fun thing where and the sacred thing is to become like or one with the Father or the stick or the center of the earth. And so we get this is just a little art thing that I love. But this comes out of Black Elk's vision. That was a man. And that was a woman. And there's the fact that you can't stay in the world of electromagnetism and visions, and that. But here's another. All our happy little heads are acorns hanging from the great tree of life that runs through the center of the earth, and in its pure sense, it only wants to keep us alive. You, each one of us as individuals, runs just straight down into you. It's yours. We're all tied to the same tree, but your life is your life. And with Black Elk and Mac. Oh, and then again, this is just like a summary thing. This is how I used to teach what I just taught years and years ago. But here we are. We're never not going to be here. As long as the earth lives, there's just going to be people, a tree, the earth, the center of the earth, which is called the fields of magma, the geofield, the biosphere, where the clouds are, the ionosphere, the heavens, the moon, the stars, the sun. Okay. That's just what science wants us to believe where we are. The Sioux have a butterfly, the center of the earth, or a great white giant that lives in the center of the earth, but it's the same thing. And then they have a thunderbird instead of thunderclouds, but it's the same thing. They have a egg where the thunderbird has an egg in the west that protects us, but it's the ionosphere. They have the sun and the moon and the stars. It's the same thing. Now this is a little more difficult, but I did it. There's a hell where there's fiery hell underneath the earth. This is Catholicism. This is what I was taught. This is my trajectory. There's hell and a dragon or the devil underneath the ground, and all the people go into the church and they read the book, and the book is the overarching way to have a divine relationship with Jesus Christ and be choosing to hang out in a cloud for a while until there's a judgment day, and here's the pearly gate of heaven, which just might be the ionosphere, and above that, judgment, which just might be the moon, and above that, the heavenly place where we all get to go back to being stars flying in the sky. I don't know. I just made all that up. But anyway, so I was that's just the point is even if this is true, it's still happening right here. You know, it's just, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but and I can do this with Buddhism too, by the way. But anyway, the point is we're here. I trust everyone in here, all people. You do what you do. We're good. And we're back to this, what I think is a really beautiful way to look at the earth as a rainbow emerging from a white goddess that's everlasting. I love that. And then we're all standing on her in the Heavenly Father. And that's it. Don't need to go anywhere else. And this, I hope I have this quote. So, I happen to be Scottish too. My wife doesn't go many places with me, as you might expect. So not in a bad way. We've just had to, make sure. Yeah, there's certain things like I've had to deal with so much social pressure that I kind of have a shield. You get a shield, but she's not so good at that because she happens to be an elementary school teacher who's taught here in this community for 30 years. She's a little bit more in tune with the so anyway, but the point of the one of the most beautiful things in the book, that really touched me as happiness in the Roundhouse was that made me think of this person that I am. That made me think of I get to be a farmer now. This is Kim LeClaire's farm. Kim was the woman that was drumming. This is Kim LeClaire's farm. I work here and help her grow tomatoes and her other food. And like I said, I've just been a farmer for 5 years. But in returning to the book and returning to the Roundhouse and giving thanks to the Big Read and giving thanks to Julia and all of us here, Nana Push, in the spirit of Nana Push, and I think that this, for me, if there was wisdom to offer about the times we're in now, when I heard Nana Push say this, this is what I think. Nana Push, he acted crazy to sort his friends from his enemies, but he spoke the truth. Nana Push, he acted crazy to sort his friends from his enemies, but he spoke the truth. He completely lost trust in authority and decided that in all things he would be unpredictable, even to do the most ridiculous things that occurred to him. And I love that. I love that we're kind of surrounded by that. You know, there's a lot of things that just seem pretty damn ridiculous right now. And to join the idea that ridiculousness could actually get us through this is a nice thing. Like, we do know that we all mistrust any kind of authority, but what if our Holy Spirits are guiding us just like from Christ and from the earth, just like they guided Joe? Just in our lives, not doing anything special or heroic, and that's how I've had to learn to think about people, is just that way, so that I could quit judging them, you know, so that I could quit being the wounded Indian, you know, who hates Western civilization. Black elk staff. Oh, I'm a tomato farmer. Those are my hands after pruning tomatoes for 5 hours. That's the end, but I don't want to talk about black elk's death while we're looking at my hands. Black elk was told by Wakantaka that in his life he would represent the wing of the white giant that lives. The wing of the white giant that lives is just a name for the aurora borealis, right? So the white giant that lives is the core of the earth. The wing of the white giant that lives is the aurora borealis, or the great wings of the geese that go over the world. Black elk died. His relations gathered at the house where his body lay. 1950. This guy lived till 1950 as a Catholic catechist for 60 years. Black elk died. His relations gathered at the house where his body lay. His relations came and sat around the little house where his body lay. Olivia said, "It was really nice night. It was just the night to sit, warm and with a wind. All of a sudden it started to get light, and it was almost like daylight, and the northern lights were dancing, and that scared me. I thought it was the end of the world, the way the whole thing just lit up. It scared us all half to death." Isn't that crazy? Beautiful. That's it. Thank you all very much. Thank you for taking it down. That was a lot of Jeff Cochran. But I did try to give you the best, just the most beautiful things that I found in 40 years. In 40 years of looking to try to survive a wound. In 40 years of looking to try to survive a wound, I gave you the best I found. And I'm honored that you were here and that I got to share that with you.